Yeah, welcome back. Now, this is the continuation of our training on web development, website development with HTML, CSS, PHP, and MySQL. In the last video, we are discussing advanced HTML tags, and we started with form input elements. I tried to explain form tag, how you can put something like registration form on your site. And we discussed these form elements like how you put text input, larger text input, and buttons on in your form. Now, I want to talk about radio buttons, check boxes, and selection boxes and hidden feed. Now, before that, let's start with radio buttons. Now, the radio buttons will allow you to make a selection on the web page, especially if in your form you have an option that says which gender, what is your gender, are you a male or female? So it's either the person picks a male or female. You can't pick both. But in case of check boxes, in the check boxes, you can pick one or more options. For example, which of the following computer types have you been using? Maybe there is an option for Dell, HP, Compaq, Toshiba, and Co. So the person can pick as many as possible. So practically, let's see how this works. Now, before I go to that, in the case of selection boxes, you see that it has select, opening tag, and closing select. That is like a drop down. The selection boxes is a kind of drop down menu in your form. For example, select your countries or select your state. So when the person click on the box, there will be a drop down of list of states, and each of the items in the drop down is what we have in the option tag here. So just like a list item UL and OL that we discussed previously, it works the same way. There is a parent tag and there is a child tag. So the option tag is the child tag. Then we have another tag called hidden field. So we will discuss that as we continue. But for now, let's start with a radio button. Now let me escape this presentation and go to our desktop where I put this. I have a folder I called my website, and in the folder I have 4 pages: complete register, contact, index, register. I hope you understand this if you have been following from the previous videos. So this time around, it is the registration page or register page that I want to work with. So I'll right click and open with Notepad. So I have it there. So that is the page we will be working on. So that is our registration page. You can see the H1 tag there, and immediately after that I have the form. And I directed the action of the form to complete register.html. That is when they click submit, it should direct them here. Now, if I go to the folder and I click on this register, it's going to launch it in the browser. So this is what we have been working with before. So on this page, I have a text box. I have a first name, email, home address, register, and reset. I have 2 buttons, one called register, the other one called reset. Now, in the previous video, coming back to our notepad, I stopped at text area, which we discussed in the previous video. And that's what I have, a text area, the large text area. So that is for larger text input. Now this time around, if we want to put what we call radio button, I can start by saying let me put it in paragraph and say select your gender. We want to know whether the person registering is a male or female. So I will type that statement there, and in front I'm going to put input element, and the type this time around is equal to radio. Okay, let's go back to our presentation and see that. So you say input type equals to radio. Then that is the first attribute you give it. The next attribute is name. You discover that here I have the example I gave you. I have red, green, and blue. I want the person to choose either the color he likes, either red, green, or blue. Now I assign the same name to the three elements. Why? Because they are grouped together. So you either choose one or leave the other. So you see that I assign the name called colors. Then the value. The value, when the person submits the form, it is the value that the form will send to where whatever the person chooses will be used. So the value is the data that will be sent with the form. The name is what the programmer or the web developer will use to reference that data. And what is here is what the user will see on the screen. So knowing that now, you can go and say name equals to, I'm already on Notepad now, name equals to gender in this case. I'm using gender in this case. So I give it a name called gender. The value for this particular radio button, let the value be equals to male. Then I close the tag. Let me close the tag there. If I close the tag there, I have to reduce my font size, so that I would like you to see the screen at once. Okay. Now, the value is there. Then I cannot type male. So, it means on the screen, the site visitor will see select your gender. Then immediately after that, you will see a radio button here, and in front of the radio button is going to see male. Then let's press enter. Then I can have another input box. I will just copy this. Ctrl C, then Ctrl V. Yeah, I don't need to type select your gender again for the female. So I will assign the same name to them, but the value this time around is female. And here I'm not putting break tag because I want them to be side by side. So by the time we save this, let's save this and go to our registration page and refresh. So you can see the effect here. Select your gender, male, female. So that you pick one. So when I select one, the other one will be disabled. So that is the demonstration of a radio button. So in the radio button, you assign them the same name. For example, if there's another gender, let's say there is another one, maybe there are about 4 items. They will all have the same name called gender. They must have the same name. And the value for each of them is what the form will send to the page where the form data will be used. So when we start learning PHP MySQL, you will know the essence of this name attribute. You discover that almost all our form elements, they have name attribute like the text box here. So you will need this name attribute to reference whatever the person typed inside the text box, and also the first name, the email, even the text area, it has a name attribute. So that is about a radio button. Now we want to see the other one called checkbox. Checkbox. In the checkbox, you don't group them together. It's an individual thing, unlike radio button. Because in checkboxes, you make the input type to be checkbox. You also use input element, but the attribute type will be checkbox. The name is what you're going to use to reference the checkbox when you are using the data, and the value is the data that the form will send when the form is submitted. So the example here says name is agreed and the value is yes. Maybe there are options for yes, no, all those things. But practically speaking, let's make use of a checkbox on our page. So if I start another paragraph tag, okay, I didn't close this. I think the browser is making provision for that, but it's good to close your paragraph tag. Okay, let me start another paragraph tag for checkbox. Here I will say select or what type of computers have you ever used? Probably that's a question I want to ask my site visitors. When they want to register, what type of computer have you ever used? So, I want a break tag, because I want whatever they want to pick to be under that statement. So let me apply break tag there. Okay, here I will start what we call the input, then the type this time around. The type this time around will be checkbox. Sorry, I have to put that in quotation. Checkbox. Now, the name, I told you that here we don't group the elements together. You may assign it a name called computer type. Computer type. This underscore there. You can do that so that you know there are two ways. Computer type, then the value. Now, the value this time out is, I want to start with HP. HP. So let's close that tag and type HP. Now, what is the meaning of this? What type of computers have you ever used? That is the question. I applied break tag so that this checkbox will be under. So I put a checkbox. I want them to select HP as a computer type. So in front of this HP, there will be this square box. This square box. I don't have a preview of that here. There will be a square box for selecting the computer type. Now let's save this and see the effect of what I've just typed. But let me put paragraph tag. The closing paragraph tag. Okay, let's save that. Let's refresh. Okay. You can see what I'm saying. What type of computers have you ever used? So that's a checkbox. It's a square box. I put HP there. I put HP. Then the HP that you see there, The HP that you see there, is what I type after the checkbox. Now, if the person selects that HP, the value that will be sent, that you as the web developer will use to program your site, is this HP in quotation here. The name attribute is what you are going to use to reference that value on the page where you want to process the form data. So now after this, let's copy this and put another checkbox. Let's just copy this, Ctrl C. Let me press enter. Now I didn't put break tag after here because I want them to be on the same line. So the name is also computer tab, but this time around the value I want to use is Dell. So another option in my selection is Dell. So let them select Dell. But the problem here is since they are not grouped together, so I won't use the same name. So I may use the name of the computer as their name. Let's use the same thing instead of say computer type. So I will reference the value type here by HP, then the value here by Dell. So because I wouldn't want them to have the same name, since I'm going to reference them separately. Assuming a person select HP and he select Dell, it will be confusing if you assign the same name to them. Unlike a radio, where they have the same name, here we have gender. But if the person selects, he can only select one. So you can simply use gender to reference it on the page where the form data will be processed. But in this case, I want to use different things. Okay, let's copy this again. Copy and put it here. Okay, this time around, I want to have Toshiba. The value Toshiba and what the person, the site visitor will see is Toshiba. So let's save this and check how it looks on our page. So you see that we have HP, Dell. So the person can choose, you can see that they can choose any of the three. They can select any of the three. They can select them together. You can select two, they can select three of them, as the case may be. So that is about checkbox. The checkbox will give the user option to select more than one option. So let me still put one more. And this time around, the name is a compact. And also, if I save that, so that means I have 4 checkboxes. I refresh. So that is compact. Now, if you want space, you want more space to be in between each of these two, we are going to learn that in the next video when we are looking at a special character.